Okay, so let's talk a bit about currency options. And first, we should talk about how profit or loss is calculated from a currency option. Now, currency option is just like any other option in terms of the general idea. The idea is that you can buy an option and you have the right to profit if the position moves in your way, but you also have the ability to sort of walk away if the position moves against you. And of course, you pay a fee known as the premium for that right, but not the obligation. But it can result in some interesting strategies, both for trading and for risk management. So let's take a look. With an option, you have something called a strike price. And this is like your futures price. It's the price today that you're agreeing to buy or sell at some point in the future. And so as a result of this, at some point in the future idea, an option, whenever you talk about an option, there's a specific maturity or a time to expiration for that option. Each option has its own maturity, also known as time to expiration. But as for profit, the way it's calculated is the difference between the strike price and what the price ends up at, let's say the ending price. And when we're talking about currency options, the price we're talking about is the price of the currency, the exchange rate between one currency and another. And so with an option, we have this sort of ability to walk away from it. It's either this or we just sort of walk away and end up with nothing. Of course, we pay a premium for that, as we'll see in a minute, but it's sort of one or the other. And that's why an option profit, technically, it's the maximum of either zero, because if this is a negative number, zero is bigger than that. If it's a loss, we just end up with zero. Or if there's a profit, we end up with whatever this number is. Now, before we go any further, we need to add some jargon to this list of option jargon. And that's the two types of options that are out there: a put and a call. So this is actually the option profit for a put. A put benefits from a price fall. You can actually benefit from something falling in value. Whereas a call benefits from a price rise. Kind of just like as we're used to. If we buy a stock and it rises in value, we're benefiting from that price rise. So then if this is the option profit for a put, and a put is where you benefit if the price falls in value, then a price or a payoff of an option for a call is very similar, but kind of like the opposite. It's either zero. Again, you have this feature that you can walk away if the position moves against you. You just lose the premium. Or the ending foreign exchange price, the price at which the spot currency ends up with at the time of expiration of this option, minus the strike price. You can see it's just like the inverted form of a put option, the payoff of a call. Now, I keep saying that we can kind of walk away if the position moves against us and we just lose our premium. And so at this point, I need to differentiate the idea of gross profit versus net profit. What you see here is option profit, but this is a gross option profit. By contrast, option net profit accounts for this cost of a premium. And the only difference between these two is that an option's net profit accounts for the premium, whereas an option's gross profit does not. So with options, an option's net profit, the one thing that we need to do, the one thing that we need to add is to, subtract out the cost of this premium. No matter what, as buyers of an option put or a call, no matter how it works out for us, even if we make a lot of money here, we still lose that premium. That premium gets paid to the seller of this put or call, and they get to keep it no matter which way the underlying ultimately goes. So let's take a tangible example and put some numbers to both a put and a call. Let's say that we are going to buy a call option. And by the way, these are profits for the buyer of either a call or a put. If you're selling a call or a put, basically you would earn exactly the opposite of what is shown here. But for this course, we're going to really just focus on buying. And in this case, let's take a look at buying a call. Let's say that the strike price for this, that is the price that we are locking in today, but that we expect to go above at some point in the future at the time of expiration of this option, is $1.23 per euro. So given that, let's calculate the gross profit. Supposing that if the maturity of this option was 90 days, and that at the end of 90 days, the spot rate at that point, the ending spot rate, or the rate of exchange 90 days later, 90 days from now, after we bought the option, is $1.11 per euro. And so remember that we bought a call because we were expecting on the price to rise. And when we say the price to rise, it's really we're expecting the number in this denominator here. We're buying a call, in this case, on the euro. So in American exchanges, at least, the US dollar is going to be on top when it comes to working with options, currency options. And then you'll see the currency that you're actually trading on, you're sort of making a bet on the denominator. That's because in American exchanges, everything is priced in dollars. So that's why the dollar is on top. And so if we're betting on the euro rising in value, in fact, we're betting really that the euro rises beyond the strike price, but ultimately the euro ended up below. Euro actually buys fewer dollars here, then we can see that we actually didn't make any money on this call option. In fact, if we plug it into the formula, this formula for gross call option profit, then we get the maximum of either zero or what we see here, the $111 per euro ending price minus the $123 per euro original strike price. And this number is negative, and this number is zero. And so with the call option, we get the maximum of either of those two numbers. And in this case, that's the bigger number. In this case, zero is the bigger number. So our call option, in other words, expires worthless. We didn't make any money because we were wrong about the direction of the euro. The euro weakened. We bought a call thinking that it would strengthen. Now, this is the nice thing about the option. You see that this is a negative number here. And that's a loss that we got to walk away from. We just had zero here. But as sort of for the privilege of this, we paid a premium originally when we bought that. And so we still have a loss when it comes to the net profit of our option. And when it comes to premiums for a currency option, they are often professionally priced in terms of percentages or a certain number of cents per foreign currency. So in this case, let's suppose we have a premium in the form of US cents per currency, per euro, of 3.8 cents per euro. And so all we need to do to calculate the net profit in this case, or in this case the net loss, is to subtract out that 3.8 cents premium. And now this number is actually rounded, so I'm going to say it's 0.0375. But either way, you can see our loss is just going to be that 3.75 cents, because if we simplify this, the profit is going to be 0 plus, well, in this case it's minus 3.75 cents. Now at this point, there's one more bit of definition I need to introduce to you, and that's called the multiplier for an option. Because when we buy or sell an option, we don't just buy on like a single dollar or a single euro. We buy one option represents a certain number of dollars or euros. So the multiplier is like how many of the underlying currency one option represents. It's often the case that on a notional perspective, that is after accounting for the multiplier, options tend to be quite big. They tend to, a single option will tend to represent quite a large number. And so if we're calculating a profit or loss for an option, one thing we need to do, it's not just on a single 3.75 cent loss here. One thing we need to do is multiply by this multiplier. A single contract doesn't represent just a 3.75 cent loss. It actually represents 3.75 times the number of underlying currency that a single option contract represents. And this multiplier will vary. It will vary by the exchange. It will vary by whatever currency pair we are attempting to buy or sell an option on. So if the multiplier for the dollar per euro option was for 110,000 euros, that is one call option on this dollar euro pair, one call option on the euro represents 110,000 euros, then to calculate our total loss, because we lost the premium, for this option, we have to multiply this 3.75 cents by this 110,000 euro figure. So the net total loss for this option then becomes not minus 3.75 cents, but minus $4,125. And so you can see how one single option can actually represent a significant amount of capital that you put at risk. Okay, one final brief walkthrough. Let's end on a more positive note. Let's suppose that instead of losing money, we profited. And in fact, the way we did that, the multiplier still stays the same. The premium is still the same. The only way that really changes, where we can make a profit, is what the euro eventually ended up trading at. And so let's suppose that the euro ended up at a higher exchange rate than what we had agreed upon in our strike price. So as long as it's above that strike price, then we make money. Let's suppose that ultimately, at the end of 90 days, the euro went ultimately to $1.41 per euro. So quite a stronger euro at the time of this option expiration. The formula still stays the same. We're going to take a look at the net profit to a call, and it's the maximum either 0 or the difference between what the exchange rate ended up at 1.41, minus the price we sort of locked in when we bought this call option. Or 0, we can always walk away. But you can see in this case, we wouldn't want to do that because this number is now the maximum. It's a positive number. In fact, it's 18 cents. And so if we simplify that, an option gives you the right, but not the obligation. In this case, we'll take that right and profit by 18 cents, but it won't just be 18 cents, it'll be 18 cents multiplied by that notional amount. And the notional was still the same. The multiplier is 110,000 euros. And so, therefore, we end up with a profit of $15,675 in this scenario. So quite a large range in outcomes that can occur. And the reason for that really is not only that options can just naturally exhibit large swings in value, but also because one option actually exposes you to a significant capital investment because of this multiplier effect.